The Tempest of the Gods and Starforged Legends card sets came out in Shadowverse in 2017. That was 7 years ago. God, I'm old. And they were sets that left quite the legacy, with so many iconic characters coming out of it that are still remembered to this day. So for Shadowverse Evolve's 4th booster set, what better sets to adapt than these? That's how we've arrived here, with Cosmic Mythos releasing an English edition on April 12th, 2024. Let's take a look at a card from each of the classes to see how they adapted these cards from the digital game to the real-life TCG. But first, make sure to like the video and subscribe. It really does help out. Cassiopeia is getting the respect she rightfully deserves in Cosmic Mythos, not only returning as a legendary follower card, but also getting an ultimate rarity variant, which is absolutely gorgeous, by the way. And it just makes sense, given her prevalence in the digital game back in the day, where she would deal 1 damage to a random enemy follower as many times as there were cards in your hand. Fantastic for controlling the game, and making her a great target to bounce back to your hand too, to reuse that effect. In Shadowverse Evolve, she does much the same, except it's not random. You get to pick. She's also cheaper in cost by 1, and counts cards in your EX area, which is like a second hand that's visible to your opponent that some effects can add cards to. Great way to strengthen the card a bit while incorporating the new mechanics exclusive to Shadowverse Evolve, and also keeping the flavor of the original. Gawain of the Round Table got a bit of a glow up in Shadowverse Evolve. In the digital game, he only gained Rush with an enhanced 6 effect, so you had to pay more to let him attack the first turn he's played without evolving him. The Strike effect was nice in discounting commanders though, but could be played around by your enemy not providing a trade target. In Shadowverse Evolve though, he has Rush intrinsically, and you can choose to reveal 2 commander or Arthurian cards from your hand to recover 2 play points. He's being played for cheaper instead of costlier. To balance that, the commander discount only applies once per turn, but also doesn't require you to strike with him. A good mix of changes that makes him a little less awkward to play, but in keeping with the theming. He also gets an ultimate rarity variant, actually. It's really nice to see these nostalgic cards get some shine. Giant Chimera was emblematic of spell boost back in the day, a massive finisher that scaled based on the aforementioned mechanic and could end games in a single stroke. Now, of course, in Shadowverse Evolve, we don't have spell boost. We have Spell Chain. So instead of a variable sliding scale, this new version of Chimera has certain breakpoints at which it deals more damage depending on how many spells are in your cemetery. To make up for it, the card now does the same damage to all enemies rather than split between them, keeping the effect pretty much as close as it can be to the digital version, while also making it a little more practical. It's no exaggeration to say that Sybil of the Waterworm was one of the best ramped Dragoncraft cards of her day. She gained play points and she kept you alive, all while having some really nice stats too. In Shadowverse Evolve, she does much the same, but they made her cheaper and a little more flexible. Now she gains stats and ramps on Overflow, but she can be played earlier as a defensive option just to gain a bit of defense back for your leader. And of course, she gains an additional payoff of healing you more when she's in Overflow as well. One very cool thing about Sybil in Shadowverse Evolve is that she actually gets an alternate art version from the Code Geass collab that is part of this set, Callan Crimson Yaksha. It looks so good, and if you pull this, I'm very happy for you. I can't talk about iconic cards from this era of Shadowverse without talking about Demon Lord Ector. In digital, he absolutely shaped the landscape of the metagame single-handedly with his power. Creating zombie tokens using your shadows, buffing everything, giving them rush, you can instantly turn the tide of the game with this card. In Shadowverse Evolve, he's a little different. Necromancy doesn't exist, rather we have Necro Charge, which just counts the number of cards in your cemetery rather than using them up, with the downside that tokens don't count. Speaking of tokens, this Ector doesn't summon zombies, but rather takes up to 2 play point or less followers from your cemetery and puts them on your field. This is super neat because rather than just getting beat sticks, you can bring back something with an effect. And remember that in Shadowverse Evolve, fanfares activate whenever something is brought on the field, not just played from hand. He still has a buffing effect too, which gets stronger at Necrocharge 20, and also still gives your guys rush. It's just that he's got a few more tricks up his sleeve in this new iteration. By the way, it's very nice to see Ector get his flowers as an iconic character here, since he also has an alternate art version from the Code Geass collab. And of the main character, no less. Let's talk about Dark Jean. This card was played in digital a while back as a way to clear boards of weenies from your opponent while buffing all boards, pressing an aggressive advantage if you manage to full clear while keeping your stuff alive, since that way only you would get the benefit. In Shadowverse Evolve, they made her even better, since now the buff only affects your field regardless. There's also Andromeda coming in this set, who you can play alongside Dark Jean so you don't take the effect damage, meaning only your opponent loses and only you gain. Not only that, but they gave her an evolve effect where if you're at least 5 defense, you deal 4 damage to an enemy follower and face, letting her clear whatever survived the initial AoE while pushing your aggression even more. As a Dark Jean fan, I approve. Last but not least, I would be remiss if I didn't cover the box art legendary Israfil. She was an absolute powerhouse back in the day for decks that were able to either ramp, cheat her out, or went long enough, since she heals you and clears for you. Good news, she does much the same in Shadowverse Evolve as well. The only real change being her cost going down and her AoE damage starting at 3 and going to 5 on Evolve rather than being 2 the whole time. A fair trade for it no longer hitting face. So I'd expect her to be good in the same way as she was in digital, albeit missing her sister in arms Sahakweon, at least until set 8 comes out. She gets a beautiful ultimate rarity variant too. Look at it! I always respect Shadowverse Evolve for their adaptations, faithfully capturing the spirit of the originals while also giving them new life in this new game. Let me know what card you're most looking forward to seeing in Cosmic Mythos when it comes out on April 12th, 2024. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.